everybody had tried to recruit him, but nobody had been able to get very far with him. He had kind of a bad taste in his mouth. He didn't know what he was going to do, though. And we found his high school coach, so he took us over to meet Larry, and Larry wasn't there, and his mom said, "You coaches are just driving him crazy. Why don't you just go away and leave him alone?" Bam, she closed the door. Gary said, "Wow, she must have had a bad day because she's normally real nice." Stan said, "Well, let's go back to Terre Haute." I said, No, I'm from Zionsville. Zionsville's about the same size as French Lick. We're going to find Larry. I said, hey, there aren't too many places you can hide a 6'8" guy in a town like this. And we drove around for a while, and I made a right turn and started down the street, and we were passing a laundry where you go in and wash your clothes.
Yep.
And here comes this big blonde kid out of there, and I said, "There he is right there." And I pulled in. He said, "You think?" I said, "There can't be two of them in this town." And got out and introduced myself. He wouldn't shake hands because he had been working on his truck, and he was carrying a basket of clothes, and he put it in the car, and I started talking to him about, we'd like to talk to you about Indiana State. And he said, "Well, I'm busy working on my truck right now. I just don't think I have time right now." And his grandmother, she heard me talking with him. So she come around there, and she said, "Larry, these nice fellows were, they took their time to drive all this way to see you. Invite them up to the house for some iced tea." "Oh, Granny, I'm working on my truck." "Larry?" And that was all there was to that. He didn't say anymore. So we followed him up there, and she fixed his tea, and we sat and talked with him. And we had a lot in common, small towns, and just we knew each other, I was talking about recruiting. We had to have a point guard, and he said, "Well, you ought to get Kevin Carnes." He said, "My cousin, Kevin Carnes, he was a senior when I was a junior." He said, "If he had gone to college, he'd have been a great player." And I looked at him, and I said, "Larry, if you don't come and go to Indiana State with us, that's what they're going to say about you one day." And, boy, that's the first time he looked me in the eye all day. And I knew I had him. 2 days later, I drove down there and knocked on the door. His mother answered the door. She said, "Oh, come in, Coach. It's good to see."
Had a different tone.
Wow, is this a different reception? And Larry said, "How do you know I was going to sign? How do you know?" I said, "Well, if you're an intelligent kid, and this is the intelligent choice to make. So all you have to do is sign right here, and I'll mail it for you." And he signed it, and the rest is history.